Hey, this is Shannon with Smokin the Wild, and on today's episode, I'm doing 2 racks of pork ribs. We're gonna do a Napa Slaw that's gonna like blow your mind, and I'm doing some baked beans straight out of the can, but as you all already know, we don't do anything normal here on Smokin the Wild. Stay tuned because we're fixing to get wild. So we're gonna start with our ribs. I've heard a lot of people that don't do this next step, and I'm telling you right now, if you don't do it, you might as well take off your flip-flops and chew that, because there's actually a membrane that's on the back of these ribs. I've already done one of them. I'm not gonna go into great detail. I just take a steak knife, I grab a hold, I've already got this one started, and it's just literally a matter of taking this back membrane off. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. You just rip that membrane off and you're good to go. I've got a little bit left here, but that's what you want to do, is just get as much of that membrane off as you can. Otherwise, it's just going to be extremely chewy. Now, there's a little bit of extra fat on this. You'll very rarely ever see me cut anything with a steak knife, but steak knives have that little teeth on it. It's just easier to grab. So there we go. All right, on both rack of ribs, I'm gonna spray them both down, both sides with duck fat. Again, you can use olive oil or canola oil. I don't recommend you using vegetable oil because I don't think it heats up very good. It's not very good for you, and it doesn't taste that good. Some guys will use mustard. So, I mean, the bottom line is, really, this is acting as a binder for the rub I'm about to use, the rubs that I'm about to use. But I also think duck fat just adds a certain little hint of flavor that we happen to like. So I'm just gonna, and I've got the bone side up, so I'm just gonna spray it down, both sides, okay? Then I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna flip them, all right? And I'm gonna spray it down with the duck fat again. And then what I'm gonna do is I've said before, I keep a full bottle of cranberry juice spray bottle. I also have one of apple juice, but today I'm gonna be using cranberry juice. And I'm just gonna hit both racks, turn it over, okay, with cranberry juice. Again, it doesn't add a tremendous amount of flavor, but it does add enough that it makes a difference. Okay, so on this rack of ribs, it's going to be the kind of the sweet and savory. So I'm actually going to take a can of peach preserves. We'll get to that in just a minute, but I'm also going to use this Bearded Butcher's Hollywood blend, all right? And I'm just gonna lightly coat it or heavy coat it, however you want to do it, okay? I kind of lean towards the heavy, but you do it how you want, okay? It's kind of a sweet formula, okay? Then it's gonna flip over, and I'm gonna hit it again. And on this particular rack of ribs, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my spoon and I'm going to take some peach preserves, and then I'm going to take the kitchen utensils that God gave me, and I'm just going to kind of rub that peach preserves on the meat side only. I don't have to worry about the bone side, okay? Just get that good and coated. And what this is actually going to do is it's going to caramelize, okay? And it's going to give it a very, very distinctive flavor. Once you get all that in, you're just going to kind of let it set. Then we're going to move to the next rack. Okay, I've switched out gloves. So now we're going to work on this other rack of ribs. Again, we're going for different flavor profiles. And the reason why I'm making 2 distinct flavor profiles between the 2 rack of ribs is my goal is I'm going to cut off, 2, 3 ribs per person. They bite into one, it's going to taste one way. They're going to bite into another, it's going to taste another way, and it's just going to keep going back and forth. Easy to do, makes it fun. It makes it more fun. It makes it more interesting. It definitely makes it taste better. I'm going to take some Pancho and Lefty S.P.G, okay? And I'm just going to lightly sprinkle or heavy sprinkle, however you want to do it. Again, this is more of a Texas style rib, okay? We're going to flip it over. Hit it one more time with the cranberry juice. Sprinkle it with this S.P.G, putting it a little bit heavy, and we're done. I have literally less than, I don't know, 8-10 minutes involved in both rack of ribs. I've already got my grill heated up to 300 degrees. And as I always say, no matter what grill you're cooking on, my choice is a hasty bake. And by the way, today I'm cooking over, I've got real hardwood charcoal. I've got a log of mesquite in there. I've got the temperature up to 300 degrees. But no matter what grill you're using, it doesn't matter to me. I just want to see you grilling. I want to see you smoking. I want to see you cooking. I want to see you doing this, and I know that you can. All right, now what we're going to do, we're going to take both rack of ribs. We're going to open up the Hasty Bake Gourmet. Both of them are going to be bone side down. Listen to that sizzle. Oh, that's pretty. We're going to set them side by side, bone down. We're going to cook this for an hour. We're going to come back and flip it. We've got both rack of ribs out on the Hasty Bake, bone side down. We're going to let them cook in there for about an hour. We're going to go back out. I've got a timer set on the oven. We're going to go back out there and flip a meat side down. This is one of the times where using a meat thermometer does not take precedent. It literally is about time. But I'm still going to probe them with the meat thermometer, but I'm basing it on time today. So while that's out there cooking for the first hour, I'm going to go ahead and prepare a Napa Cabbage slaw that is absolutely fantastically good. So I've got a very large head of Napa Cabbage. We're not going to use near this much. It'll probably be about half because it goes a long way. I already have pre-cut 2 very large limes. You can see that right there. These suckers are huge. I've got about a half a cup of green onion chopped up. I've got about a 1/4 cup to 3/4 cup of fresh cilantro right out of our garden. And I've got about a half a cup to a cup of fresh tomatoes, again, from our garden. And we try to grow as much as we can so that we can use it. It's fresh. But then I'm going to show you all of the ingredients that go in this slaw. Stay tuned while I cut up this cabbage, and we're going to keep going. I've got roughly half of that head of Napa cabbage chopped up here in my handy dandy mixing bowl that I use literally every single day. I don't know what I would do without it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare basically the dressing. But here's what you can go ahead and do is, again, we've got the green onion that we talked about earlier, the tomato, and the cilantro, and you can go ahead and mix it in. Go ahead and throw it in there. We'll set that aside. All right. And again, don't pay so much attention to these quantities. Add more, add less. Do it how you like. This is just kind of a good gauge. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to take my blender and I am going to squeeze in these 2 very large limes. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Bragg's apple cider vinegar, shake it up pretty good, but use whatever brand of apple cider you like the best. Get that shook up, and I'm going to add approximately a cup of the apple cider vinegar to the blender. Okay. Then I'm going to take some celery seed, and I'm going to make sure you hold it over the blender itself, about a tablespoon of celery seed, actually a tablespoon and a half. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is take not quite a tablespoon of sea salt, not quite, maybe a little bit. And then the same Pancho and Lefty Texas Black S.P.G. By the way, it has black garlic in it. I never knew there was such thing as black garlic, but it is certainly a distinctive taste. I highly recommend it. This is the rub that I used on one of the rack of ribs. Take some of this S.P.G., about a tablespoon. Now we've got all this blended up. Now I will tell you, it's optional, as anything we do, but you can either serve this separate, put it into a separate, pouring dish or whatever, or you can add it directly to the cabbage. Either way, you want to make sure you get everything refrigerated right away while the ribs are cooking. Again, you're looking at anywhere from 3 to 4 hours, so you want to get this good and chilled. But I got my wife's permission to go ahead and add it straight to the slaw, which is what I like. Sometimes she asks me to do it separate, but be cautious here, because even though we've portioned this out, you still want to kind of take some tongs and just kind of mix this together. Some people like it a little bit more seasoned, some people don't. So you can always add, you can't take it out. So just get this mixed up. That's good and mixed up. I'm gonna go ahead and taste it. A good cook always tastes their food before they serve it. I think I'm gonna pour just a scotch more. Is scotch even a word? Well, it is on Smokin the Wild. Let's get this mixed up. Let's taste this again. Yeah, I'm glad I added that last little bit. Now, keep in mind, this is fairly tart, but again, we're going for flavor profile. So all these combinations work in unison. This is fantastic. It's easy to make. It's actually inexpensive too. So stay tuned. We're gonna go back and get ready for the baked beans. All right, I've already sauteed some bacon in my cast iron skillet here. I've dumped just a regular can of Bush's Original Baked Beans in here. I'm gonna just take about a half a teaspoon of garlic. I'm gonna turn my fire source on, get that going. I'm just gonna mix this in here. Oh man, don't that look pretty. So I've got my cotton liners on with my nitrate gloves over them so that I don't get burned. We're gonna flip these over. Look at that crust. Then we're gonna take our cranberry juice in our spray bottle. We're still holding about 300 degrees temperature. Give that a good dousing. Let me tell you something, these ribs, oh, I wish you could be here to smell them, but if you're doing this, you're fitting to find out. This is boom sauce right here. Look at that. We're about ready to go. So we got about another 45 minutes to an hour. All right, I just went out and temped the ribs. They are done. And you know what, if you'll notice, I didn't wrap them in foil. There's some guys that are doing that. I do it occasionally, but I decided today I'm not gonna do that. You'll see why in just a minute. I wanted to kind of leave them a little bit moist, a little bit of a bark on there, but I'm going for something specific. So I'm gonna go ahead and glove up and we're gonna go out and pull the ribs. Came out here and checked these earlier. So one of the things you're gonna notice right away is these ribs are a little bit moist. They're already, as I picked them up, they're falling at the bone. You see the bone sticking out. These ribs are done. Now again, as I said, some guys like to wrap them, but I got a perfectly good crust on them. It's exactly the texture I'm looking for. I know this is what my family likes, so we decided to do these a little differently. So let's pull these off, and we're gonna take them inside. Ribs are done. Just pulled them off the grill, the smoker. We're gonna let them rest about 10, 15, 20 minutes. We're gonna prepare the baked beans, then we're ready to plate with that Napa Slaw we made earlier. This is gonna be a phenomenal, easy to make meal that anybody can do. We're done with this meal. I'm gonna tell you something. I want you to take a look at this plate. It is unbelievably beautiful. The aroma that's coming off it, it's absolutely fantastic. I'm gonna grab a spoon. I'm gonna taste these baked beans, make sure that when you get these ribs, even though I didn't wrap them, they're juicy, they've got a great bark on them. We've got sweet, we've got savory, we've got the S.P.G, we've got a lot of stuff going on here. We've got this bacon infused baked beans. Let's taste those. Oh man, you can taste that hickory smoked bacon, the minced garlic we put in there. Let's taste this slaw. Oh man, and you know I gotta taste a rib. Look at those suckers, man. Just a perfect smoke ring, juicy. Oh, that is like amazing. Let's taste the other ones. Oh man, look at that. Oh my goodness. That one right there, that's the peach. You can pick the peach up. I can't even talk. This is incredible. You got a lot of stuff going on here, but it was quick. It was easy. And let me tell you something. I want to encourage each and every one of you. There's a lot of barbecue pitmasters out there. I'm not saying I'm one of them, but anybody can make the meal I just made, which is why we continue to say on Smokin the Wild, we want to take people from saying they can't do that to, wow, I just did that. I'll put this up against anybody's meal. You know, total cook time at 300, 325 degrees for the ribs wasn't quite 4 hours. Again, I did it kind of non-traditionally. I didn't wrap it in foil. I just cooked it straight. It worked out. It's perfect. The texture, the smell, the flavor. You've got these smoky baked beans straight out of the can, by the way. Didn't make these homemade. You've got this Napa Valley or Napa Slaw that's going on here. You got the tartness of that. You've got the smokiness of the beans. You've got all these different flavors and these two types of ribs. If you haven't yet subscribed, smash that subscribe button. Get that bell notification. Look forward to the next episode. And as always, thanks for watching.